Up till now, we were just calculating the resultant when the number of forces are given. But now this time a typical type of problem is given. We are solving such type of problem in which the resultant is given and one force is unknown. First of all, we will only consider two forces. One force which is acting at an angle of 30 degree with the horizontal, that I call as the P, which is yet to be determined. This is second force P, which has got a magnitude of 20 kilonewton and making an angle of 60 degree with the horizontal on the other side. Both are acting outwards. How to calculate? It's a wonderful thing. Because now the resultant is given. What you have to do is resolve the forces horizontally and make the algebraic sum. Resolve the forces vertically and make the algebraic sum. So you will get the sigma h and sigma v in terms of P. Now, under root of sigma h square plus v square is equal to resultant R. So, R is given to you. You can straightaway find out the value of the unknown force P. Yes, try to solve this problem, and then after solving this problem for the two forces, we'll switch over to the next problem having the three forces and four forces or three forces are simultaneously acting in the same point, and now again force P is unknown, which is acting horizontally now, and the force of 30 kilonewton acting towards the origin, which is showing the compression, which makes an angle of 30 degree with the vertical line, and the third force having a magnitude of 50 kilonewton is making an angle of 45 degree with the horizontal on the other side. And all the two forces of that is 30 kilonewton as well as 50 kilonewton are facing towards the origin, while the unknown force P is acting outward but towards the positive side of x. Here again, the resultant of all the three forces already given as 41.42 kilonewton. You have to resolve the forces algebraically in the horizontal direction as well as in a vertical direction, and then as we are doing previously, make sigma h is equal to 0 and then sigma v is equal to 0 is equal to R. That is the resultant. From this, it will be a quadratic equation and perhaps you will be in a position to find out the resultant. This is the resolution, the composition and the resolution of the forces. After this, we will switch over ourselves a new part that we call as a moment. Moment is nothing but the force into perpendicular distance. Force into a perpendicular distance is called as a moment. Or the line of action of the force which is perpendicular to the some object when multiplied by that distance is also called as a moment. Just for example, moment has got, because the tendency of the moment is to tilt the body, turn the body either in a clockwise direction or an anti-clockwise direction. So there are two types of moments. One is a clockwise moment and other we can call as an anti-clockwise moment. Now see toward the first figure that I am showing over here, in which the force P1 is acting over here with a distance x which is perpendicular to this distance, So the moment will be force into its perpendicular distance, and it will try to tilt the body in a clockwise direction. So P into x1, P1 into x1 is the magnitude of the moment acting in a clockwise direction. And when we talk of the clockwise direction moment, we call this as a positive. Similarly, when this same force, suppose this is called, I can call this force P2, acting at a distance of x2, when this will try to tilt the body in this direction like this, so P2 into x2 will give a moment which is acting in this direction. What is the unit of the moment? It is the force multiplied by the distance, that is Newton mm, kilonewton meter, so and so forth. But when we are talking about the force, mind it, we are talking about the perpendicular distance. Force into perpendicular distance. Now here, I am giving another force which is inclined like this and showing right from here to here only, here to here only, with an angle theta 1. Now I want to find the sorry, the effect of this force over this point which is acting at a distance of x1, but it is an inclined force making an angle of theta with this line. Our definition is force must have a perpendicular distance. So what that we have to do is we have to resolve the force vertically, that is P1 sine of theta 1, and then this will be a perpendicular distance. Then P1 sine of theta into x1 will give the moment in this direction, so we can call as a clockwise moment. Similarly, this is the force which is acting over here but not touching the body. But as we have already seen, the line of action of the force, this line of action of the force is meeting at this point, which makes an angle of theta 2 with this horizontal. This P2 force, which makes an angle of theta 2 with the horizontal. Now we have to resolve this perpendicular to this like this. And the vertical perpendicular magnitude will be P2 sine of theta 2. P2 sine of theta 2, and then P2 sine of theta 2 is acting in this direction. This distance is x2. Then P2 sine of theta 2 into x2 will try to tilt the body in this direction, which is anti-clockwise. So we can call this as an anti-clockwise moment, but we have only converted that inclined force into its vertical component, and then we have multiplied this by a perpendicular distance. Next is the couple. What is couple? Couple is nothing but when two equal and opposite and parallel forces are simultaneously acting at the body at some distance apart, it tries to rotate the body, and that's why we call this as the couple. I will repeat the definition. When the two equal and opposite as well as parallel forces are simultaneously acting at point at any distance apart, then this is called a couple. Just see, this is the one force, two equal and opposite force, parallel to each other, acting at one point, at one body, at some distance apart. And we call this called a couple. The magnitude of the couple is nothing but, we can call the moment of the couple, which is nothing but the force into perpendicular. This will try to tilt the rotate to right in this direction. Or if you see this force, this will also try to rotate in this direction. So the magnitude of a couple is nothing but the moment of a couple, which is nothing but this force into this distance, or this force into this distance. Only one force and that distance will give the moment of the couple. The most important property of the couple is, just see, if this is rotating in the anti-clockwise direction, see the another couple that we can see over here. This force is acting downward. This force is also acting upward. Both are parallel. Both are parallel. Then, and the distance between the two is x. Then, this will try to rotate in which direction? Clockwise direction. Like this. This is a clockwise couple, and the magnitude of this couple resulted in a moment we call as a moment of a couple. So moment of couple is nothing but either this force into this distance or this force into this distance. We call as a moment of a couple. Now, the important property of the couple is, couple can only be balanced by the another couple of the same magnitude but opposite in nature. Opposite in nature. Suppose one force is tried to rotate in an anti-clockwise direction. That rotation can only be stopped through another couple of the same magnitude but opposite in nature, so that it will stop and try to make the body in a stable condition. You can see like this. So this is the force P and this is the force P. Two forces are simultaneously acting on the body and the body is in equilibrium. When the two forces are simultaneously acting on a body parallel to each other at some distance, you form a couple and it will try to rotate in this direction. But as per the definition, the couple can only be balanced by the another couple of the same magnitude but opposite in nature. If this is rotating like this, another couple that has been applied law like this and this, of same magnitude as which has been shown over here, this will try to rotate in this direction, and we can say that yes, the couple can be balanced by the another couple of the same magnitude but opposite in nature. Just see, this black one will try to rotate in this direction, while the red forces which are shown over here will try to rotate in this direction. Magnitude will remain same, nature will also remain same, and we can call this as the force can be balanced by, the couple can be balanced by the another couple of the same magnitude and opposite in nature. After this, we'll try to go for one of the most important part of that forces and resolutions, that is equilibrium. Equilibrium. The most important is equilibrium. What is equilibrium? When number of forces are acting on the body and the body still remains stationary, doesn't change its situation, then we can say that is the state doesn't change. When the number of forces are acting on a body and the body does not change its state of rest or motion, then this condition is known as condition of equilibrium. This is called equilibrium. Suppose we apply two forces in this direction of magnitude 2 kilonewton each, and one force which is acting in this direction of 4 kilonewton, then body neither will go in this direction nor move in this direction because the resultant is 0. So this is the condition, that when number of forces are acting, So neither body will go in the horizontal direction, nor go in the vertical direction, nor it rotate in the anti-clockwise direction or anti-clockwise direction. So this is called the equilibrium. Now there are three conditions of equilibrium, as we are already discussing. That is algebraic sum of all the horizontal forces, whether acting on this direction or this direction. Algebraic sum of all the horizontal forces equal to 0. That is, we can call sigma h is equal to 0. Second condition, algebraic sum of all vertical forces equal to 0. That is, sigma v is equal to 0. And third one, the algebraic sum of all the moments is equal to 0. That is, sigma m is equal to 0. That is, clockwise moment is equal to anti-clockwise moment. That's why if some moments are acting in this direction, other must act in this direction. That's why neither the body is rotating in this way nor rotating in this way. Similarly, the forces, some forces are acting in this direction and other forces are acting in this direction, and still body remains stationary. So we can say the sum of all these forces and these forces are equal and opposite. Similarly, when horizontal forces are acting in this direction as well as in this direction, or the resolution of these forces acting in this direction is equal and opposite, that their summation comes out to be 0. And that is the most important condition for the equilibrium, that is sigma h is equal to 0, sigma v is equal to 0, and lastly sigma m is equal to 0. So we are just talking about the three conditions of equilibrium, that is sigma h is equal to 0, sigma v is equal to 0, and sigma m is equal to 0. When we are talking something about the equilibrium, then we are the first theorem that comes into picture that we call the Lami's theorem. That is the Lami's theorem. That is when three forces are simultaneously acting on the body. I can correct it, the definition as three coplanar forces are simultaneously acting on the body and body is in equilibrium. I will repeat definition. When all the three coplanar forces are simultaneously acting on the body and the body is in equilibrium, then each force is proportional to the angle between the other two forces. I think you may be confused what that I am saying so far, but I will explain by this. If the three forces are simultaneously acting on a body and the body is in equilibrium, then each force is proportional to the sine of the angle between the other two. That is, if we are talking about this force, what is the force between the other two forces? This is the force. So P is proportional to sine of alpha, Q is proportional to the sine of beta, and S is proportional to the sine of theta. So this force is proportional to the angle between the other two. This force is proportional to the sine of the angle between the other two. And this force is proportional to the sine of the angle between the other two forces. Algebraically, we can write that P upon sine of alpha, P upon sine of alpha is equal to Q upon sine of beta is equal to S upon sine of theta. Write this equation. Again I will repeat. It is P upon sine of alpha, angle between the other two. Q upon sine of beta, angle between the other two. And S upon sine of theta, angle between P and Q. This is we can call as the Lami's theorem. On the basis of this, now we'll try to solve few problems over the Lami's theorem, which is supposed to be one of the most important theorems so far. Now in this, keeping the same figure, what has been given to you, that is the value of S is given as 100 kilonewton. Value of S is given as 100 kilonewton. This theta is given as 90 degree. Theta is given as 90 degree. And beta is given as 120 degree. So this is 90, this is 120. Three things are given to you. What are the things given to you? Given S is equal to 100 kilonewton and theta is 90 degree and beta is 120 degree. Find the value of the other two forces acting over here. What are the magnitude of the forces? That is, when the S is given, these two angles are given, you are supposed to find out the force in this force, magnitude of this force in for P and Q. Now the problem becomes very simple. When this angle is given, you can calculate this angle, that is 360 minus beta plus theta. So automatically alpha comes out to be 150 degrees. Alpha comes out to be 150 degrees. 360 minus this plus this, because total sum is 360 degrees. Once you know the value of this, then the problem becomes very simple. You can write that P upon sine of this much, that is P upon sine of 150 is equal to Q upon sine of 120 and S which is given upon sine of 90 degrees. Once this thing, then you can find out the value of Q as well as you can find out the value of P. And the P and Q which is already given over here. After solving this such type of simple problem, we'll go slightly with some difficult problem about the Lami's theorem, which is slightly difficult. Now, the two ends are connected at the same level with a rope connecting like this, with a distance between the two nails is 5 meter. The distance between this rope and this rope is 4 meter and 3 meter respectively. And now, which is a load had been hanged over here and weight is say 50 kilonewton. What you have given is, this is in the same level. This distance between the two ends of a rope is given as 5 meter. One end of the rope having a length of 4 meter and other length of the rope is given as 3 meter. You are supposed to find out the forces in this rope as well as in this rope. When this is pulling this down, means this will try to go in this direction and this direction. Now all the three forces are meeting at the point. Draw it separately like this. Try to find out the angle between the three and find out the force in this as well as in this. You are supposed to find out this one. After that, we will go for the next part of this and the complications will be coming one after another. The next one, I will go for such type of problem in which, first of all, I will go for this problem in which A, B, C and D, these are the 2 points connected by the number of ropes, AB, BC and CD. There are 2 loads applied, one at B and other at C. The magnitude of the load applied over here is already given and you are supposed to find out this unknown force as well as force in this rope, force in this rope as well as force in this rope. Once these angles are known only using the Lami's theorem, because we can't make the resolution like this. So we'll have to go by using only the Lami's theorem and we have to calculate the value of this. How we can calculate? It is slightly difficult, but I will show one simple trick and you will be in a position to find out the angle between the two. Just see what we have to do is, at every junction, draw a dotted horizontal line as well as vertical line x and y. Everywhere. Here also, here also. Dotted line means it has not been given to you, so that's why you are supposed to assume that horizontal and vertical line, because this will benefit you in calculating the angles very easily. Now, just see what I did it right in the beginning. This angle is given, automatically this angle is known. When this angle is known, this angle is 180 degree, minus this angle will be known to you. I think, is it clear? Shall I repeat once again? Now this angle is known, this angle is known. When this angle is known, 180 minus this angle will give this angle. So this angle is known now. Now come across. So we know this angle now. You know this force and this angle, because this angle is given as 120. This angle is 30, that will become 150. Now this angle is, you know, when this is 30, this must be 60 plus 90, that will give the 120. So 120 over here, 120 over here, and rest of the things you can calculate these angles. When this angle is known, you can find out the forces here as well as in this rope. Then come across over here. Try to find out. When you draw a horizontal line, you know this angle is equal to this angle. You know that this angle is equal to this angle. When this angle is known, I think, and this angle is also given, so you know this angle is equal to this angle. This angle is known. When this angle is known, this angle can be calculated. 180 minus this angle will give the value of this. Similarly, when you know this angle can be very easily found out. Other things are also known, because this is 90, this is the horizontal line, so you can calculate this angle also. Go on solving this problem and try to calculate. I have, of course, if you are unable to solve it, I have shown how to calculate. First of all, solve this joint like this, then try to solve this joint and solve like this, and you will find the solution over here. But we'll solve it one after another. First of all, we'll go for joint B, then we'll go for joint C. When we're talking something about the joint B, we can find out the forces in these two members. Now, when we know these forces in these two members, consider the joint C. You know this force, you know this force, unknown force is known. Unknown force is only this. So you can find out the unknown force over here. Now we'll go one across another, but before you should first of all try. If you couldn't understand, then you will go through this and then we'll try to calculate. After this, we will have some more difficult problem in our next lecture.